worry, you can be in the background.
How you doing?
Very good, as always.
Yeah?
Just on time.
When did you fly into Kendal?
When did I fly into Kendal? I mean Manchester. This afternoon at 1. And then we went to the gym, had a session.
Yeah? The Kendal Wall?
No, Preston.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really good. They've got 2 amazing boards with 2 problems of mine, 1 on each board, and they are unrepeated since a year and a half.
There you go.
So I'll give to whoever repeats any of the boulders 20 quid.
Hello and welcome to Climbing Daily and welcome to the Kendal Mountain Film Festival. I don't need to introduce this man next to me, but I will anyway. Alex Megos, lovely to see you again.
Nice to see you again.
We've just come out of the screening for the premiere of your film. Congratulations, number 1. Absolutely loved it, and I see an awful lot of climbing films. Where are we on this tour for you? Because we're nearing the end of this now.
Yes, we're definitely nearing the end of this, and first of all, I definitely do have to say that it is a film about me, but technically it's Ken Etzel's film and Chelsea's film too. So, I'm just kind of the main actor, but I didn't really do any of the editing, of the filming. There will be maybe a behind-the-scenes movie coming out that I filmed, which will be an absolute banger. But that'll be more on the funny side, as I would say.
When you watch somebody who is just miles ahead of everyone else you've ever seen, you almost can't believe that that's possible.
Something like this, we've sat in a cinema, we watch it for 50 minutes, we come out, we feel great, we leave. But there's so much that goes into something like that. As you said, years of filming. When did this whole thing start for you guys? When was the beginning of the filming process?
The beginning of the filming process was, I think, around summer 2017, when Ken and I went to Seus, and he was just running, gunning back then, with his Nikon camera and just filming a bunch. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? You're a stills photographer. What are you doing with all that filming? And he was like, I've got this idea and I want to see if it works out. So after he did a bit of filming there, he pitched a project idea to Patagonia for this film. And half a year later, we were running around with a big camera. The hardest part is that you feel like you failed.
It means for Alex everything.
Something that struck me, and this might sound a bit strange, but it's the most human I've ever seen you, because in my mind, you've always been this unbelievable machine of climbing. You're like unstoppable somehow. And I watched you in that film and you went through so many emotions. There was like heartbreak, you had mental blocks, you had injuries, you were pissed off. I've never seen you that human to anyone. Was it scary putting yourself out like that?
For sure it was scary, and I've realized that there is so many climbing films out there, and mostly Ken has realized that, and he thought, well, all those climbing films are very, very fake in some ways, because they never show the actual climber. They never show the human behind the climber. And so his idea was to show what it actually really is like to be a professional climber, and what it is like to try at your limit and to be really passionate about something. And so obviously it was scary to be that vulnerable in front of the camera. And it took as well 2 years till I have actually opened up enough to Ken, and till we had a good enough friendship for me to be able to talk to him like that on camera. And I think, well, the result is good and people are psyched about it, and I'm happy to be able to share that film together with Ken. And I think it shows that, climbing and pushing limits is not only about succeeding.
I'm guilty of something, which is looking at pro climbers and looking at stats and figures and being like, he's done this, he's done this. It's very easy to forget the human behind it and the amount of sheer effort that goes into climbing these routes. Because you said you climbed hundreds of 9As probably in your time, but just getting to that stage requires so much. As a pro climber, being out there, just for people who haven't seen the film yet, just explain the amount of training, the amount of time that you spent just to get to that level.
I mean, I started climbing, properly training, probably when I was 12 or 13 years old, where I went to the gym multiple times when I got more and more into climbing. By the age of, 17, 18, when I finished school, I was so psyched on climbing that I wanted to go climbing every day. And after a gap year after school, which I dedicated to climbing, I accidentally became a professional climber. And since then, I've been, doing that ever since. And I mean, I literally train every day. I don't go climbing every day, but I do every day some sort of training. And the amount of hours I spent on my training, on getting to and back from the gym, the amount of time I'm sitting on the laptop to answer interview questions, to do all the things that nobody else sees if you just think about a professional climber. But it's more than a full-time job, and there is no weekend, but I still like it.
This is the difference between other climbers. After a hard climbing day, they need a rest. Alex, no rest. This is a daily struggle. All the falls and all the pain and all the suffering.
There's a scene in the film where you're trying Jumbo Love, and it doesn't go as well as you hoped it might. And there's something you say about, you're worried what people might think if you're not climbing these grades. You've just qualified for the Olympics. It's like the biggest sporting stage, and everyone is going to watch you succeed or fail at that. How does that make you feel?
I think, to be honest, if they watched me at the Olympics, they already saw me succeeding. But that's my opinion. I mean, there is only 20 spots worldwide for the Olympics. So there's 20 females and 20 males going to the Olympic. And that is not a lot, considering that we've got so many strong climbers nowadays in this world. Being one of those 20 for me was a huge success, especially because I just got back into competition climbing 2 years ago. And let me tell you, it was not easy, and I had so many moments where I doubted myself, and I thought, God, what am I doing here? I've been training for bouldering World Cups. I did all those comp-style boulder problems, and I thought I've improved quite a lot. And then you go to a bouldering World Cup, and you feel like you've done okay, and you end up, 30th or something. And that is huge frustration and demotivation, and you're doubting yourself constantly whether you're doing the right thing. But I finally made it, and I think I chose the right path, and I'm super happy to be qualified for the Olympics.
You talk a lot in the film about living in the Frankenjura and the impact that Wolfgang had on, people talk about the impact Wolfgang had on the community and just climbing as a whole.
Alex embodies the philosophy that Wolfgang began.
Wolfgang was a leading force in German climbing. He was able to powerfully do almost anything. So the evolution of climbing went from just getting to the top of something to how you get to the top of something. Okay, you fuckers, no more pulling on the pitons. It's about style.
It was absolutely counterculture. He met a really good young climber. His name was Wolfgang Gülli.
His story is one record-breaking climb after another.
How important has the Frankenjura been to you as a climber and your progression?
I think the Frankenjura taught me how to climb hard in some ways, when you've got an 8C or an 8C plus, that's only 7 meters long, and it's only got 3 hard moves, and the moves are really hard. So whenever you go to any other climbing area in the world, even in the 9As, you won't even find moves that are nearly as hard as in the Frankenjura 8Cs, for example. So that kind of gave me the base of my climbing and my strength. Me naturally having a good endurance, then obviously did the rest. So even if there was quite endurance-based climbing areas, I would still be able to climb hard because I had naturally good endurance. I had the power from the Frankenjura, so in some ways it shaped my climbing style a lot, being more on the powerful side, loving campusing, loving pockets, and which is sometimes not necessarily the most efficient style, but it's still cool.
One day, this little guy came in. Pretty fast, we saw that it's not normal what he is able to do.
There's scenes in the film where you're a kid. I love the fact that your smile on your face is the same smile on your face when you're like this big as I've seen you at World Cups. Like that love is still there for you. From a very early age, you've been the best at what you do. I think we can say. You know, there's obviously been ups and downs and people have come through, but you've been really up there. How do you deal with ego in that situation to keep yourself grounded still? Is it the people around you who stop you sort of floating off into stardom, or is it difficult to maintain that sort of that self?
I think I just don't see myself any different than I was when I was a kid. I mean, I don't see myself as anything special. I'm just a climber too, like everybody else. And sure, I mean, I might be able to climb harder than a lot of people, but that doesn't mean that it makes me anything more special, anything more important than anybody else. And I think that's what you always have to keep in mind. So for me, I mean, I stay grounded because I don't really think there is a reason to have a big ego. I'm just a climber.
On one hand, he's a machine. On the other hand, also just human.
Well, I implore you to go and watch this film because, as I said at the beginning, it's the most human I've ever seen you. And it also makes me realise how important you are just to fit into the whole climbing scene, but also just how big the scene is. There's so many people doing so many things, pushing our sport. And to me, that's the main thing. What did you take out of it? When you sit there and you've watched that film, you must have watched it a lot now. What do you take from it?
I think what I do take from it is that wherever we went to show the film, I was not sure at the beginning whether people would like it, whether people would be psyched. And wherever we go, people are inspired, people are motivated, and people are thankful to see, you know, somebody failing. They're thankful to see emotions and to see somebody being vulnerable. And seeing that, and that so many people get inspired by it was, yeah, amazing for me.
Awesome. Well, the video is available on the Patagonia website. There's a link in the description below. Go and watch it. You won't regret it. It's 50 minutes well spent. And Alex, congratulations on the film and best of luck if I don't see you for the Olympics next year.
Thanks so much.